What is the single biggest scam in property? Well, my belief is actually the banking system that we rely on often when we're buying property with regards to mortgages and how banking works. Because when you think about it, you're borrowing money from a bank, and that bank, you're assuming it's got the cash sitting there, it lends it to you, you're purchasing the property, you'll then have a loan for that money from the bank, you're paying interest on that money. But when you think about what it actually means, that money that you're collecting and you're maybe putting back in the bank, your rental income that you're putting in, the bank will actually take that money and they'll multiply it and lend multiples of that money. In fact, that money doesn't really need to exist. And they start to question, what is money? What does it even mean? So for example, if I look at a £10 note here, and it could be any denomination that you're looking at, and look across the top, it says, I promise to pay the bearer on demand £10. So what that means is this actually isn't even money. It is a promissory note, which means they promise to pay that amount of money. So when your money goes into the bank, it actually gets multiplied into multiple amounts and gets lent multiple times. And then the bank is charging interest on money that doesn't really exist and the way their money. So that's where I believe is the biggest scam in property, is actually the banking system that sits behind property. Often when it comes to scams in property, people think about a number of other things. So for example, it may be that it's a property deal that's been sourced from somebody. Actually, the person buying the property may not end up getting a great deal, often because the sourcer may not be doing a great job and the person buying it isn't really doing thorough due diligence on them, and it's been set up in such a way that it looks like it's a great deal, but actually the person buying it is ending up with a bit of a lemon. The other thing which I see really as a bit of a scam when I first got started in property, I used to see quite a lot of, is people buying off-plan property, especially when the market's rising really quickly. And we'd see practices like a new apartment block building going up, and then those apartments, the first few apartments being sold, would actually be sold to people that they know. So it might be friends, family, and what they do, they establish that price. So for example, let's say the first building or first property is being sold out of a block of apartments off plan. Let's say they're sold for £200,000. Now that might be a little bit more than the local property prices, but what they've done, they've pushed the price up and they set that as this is the standard, i.e. these are the values that these properties are being sold for. And then when the subsequent properties are being sold off plan, and later on when they want to try and borrow money from the bank, what they do, they look at those previous sold prices, because what they do when they look at surveys, evaluations, they look at comparables, they look for similar properties that may already be sold. But what they sometimes are unaware of are those transactions that actually took place were deliberately set up at that figure in order to make it look like that these values are higher. So the person then buying subsequent properties really is overpaying for those. This is just one of many little tricks and scams I used to see going on in the property industry. And ultimately, when you're involved in property, you have to be cautious of what you're doing and that you're taking the time to understand what it is that you're entering into in terms of a deal. Hey, if you're enjoying these short videos that we're doing called Saj Dailies, then make sure you also check out our longer form content that we have on the channel. There's probably about 300 videos that are on the channel that we've uploaded over the last few years, and there's a lot more content uploaded regularly. And if you're enjoying it, then make sure you click on that like button. Also subscribe to the channel, but more importantly, leave me a comment. Let me know what it is about these videos you're particularly enjoying and particularly liking. And once you've done that, make sure you click on this video, and I'll see you over here next.